So these notes are for G2 regionalization, and these are going to be on G2A and G2B. You will need to create your own notes, so please follow these directions for setting up your notebook paper. Please hit the pause button until you have completed all of these steps, including folding, titling the notes, and then titling G2A. When you are done, please unpause, and then we will continue to what G2A is about. Again, you're going to write your notes. I'll let you know when they're coming. You are going to be using these not just for your writing, but for some graded assignments. So G2 is all about regionalization, and regions are generalizations about space that can be based on human or physical characteristics. There are three categories of regions. There's formal regions, and those are based on shared traits or characteristics. There's functional regions, and those are based and spread from a central point or node. And then there's perceptual regions, which are based on perceived characteristics that may or may not be evidence-based. Regions cohesively organize space, can vary in scale, they can overlap, they can evolve or change as human and physical changes occur. The starter claim for G2 is that regional boundaries separate places that are completely different from each other. So what we're looking at is evidence to support and challenge that when we have regions, their boundaries, their edges, their function for that is to separate places that are completely different from each other. So the learning objective for G2 is to examine the purposes, the characteristics, and the limitations of regions. And the purpose, or G2A, is called Purpose of Regions, and the essential knowledge is that regions are created to organize space based on human or physical characteristics and patterns of human and physical activity which change over time. You're going to record your notes on the right side, and then you're going to write some level 1 and level 2 questions on the left side to help you process the information. So places have physical and or human characteristics that make them different from other places. So if somebody found out you were from Florida and they asked what Florida is like, you would describe either physical characteristics, those are things made by Mother Nature, or human characteristics, things made by people. So some examples of Florida's physical characteristics would be hurricanes, manatees, beaches, and the Everglades. And some of Florida's human characteristics could be the Rays, Disney World, Pier 60, Dunedin, and Taurus. So those things make us different from other places like Nebraska. When we look at regions, regions are groups of multiple places that have common physical characteristics or common human characteristics. So looking at those physical characteristics of Florida, if we wanted to look at other places in the world that also had similar physical characteristics and make that into a region, we could say that we're a hurricane region. That's what this map is showing right here. So we're not the only place that has hurricanes. We could say we're a coastal region. So this map right here shows areas in the United States that are coastal. We could say we're a humid region. If we wanted to look at human regions that Florida is a part of because of its human characteristics, we could say that we are a Major League Baseball region because we're not the only place that has a Major League Baseball team. We could say we're a theme park region. That's what this top map is showing, are places that have theme parks. And we could say that we are a tourist region. We're not the only place in the United States that has tourists, but it is not a characteristic that every place relies on, for instance, Nebraska. So geographers use regions to present a complex Earth into simpler general means. That is the reason we have regions. So instead of describing the climate of Brazil and the climate of Central Africa and the climate of Southeast Asia, we're just going to make a climate region, and we're going to take all of those areas in the world that have a tropical climate. We're going to code them. In this case, the key says that's green. And all of the areas that have a dry climate, we're going to code those according to this key in gold. Or if we wanted to look at religions around the world, instead of describing all of the different places that are mostly Christian, we're just going to make a region map and color all of those in red. And instead of describing or naming all the places that are Muslim, we're going to make a regions map and color those in green. So that's what that means, that regions take a complex earth and they illustrate it in simpler names. So we're just going to quickly preview the sources for A that you're going to be looking at in class. These are all about Europe, and so even though Europe is divided into a lot of small countries, they have some human characteristics and common cultural characteristics, and they also have some physical characteristics in common, and so that's what we're going to be looking at. So you see here in source 4, this is a human region, and so we're going to be analyzing this map. This map shows the different European countries and the word for bear in each country's primary language. So we're going to be analyzing and answering questions about that map. Here we have major mountain ranges of Europe, so this is a topography map. So different mountain ranges in Europe. This is a physical region. And then we also have another physical region. This is showing climate regions in Europe. So when you're done writing all those notes, you're going to go to the next available line, write G2B, types of regions, same information as before. You're going to record the notes on the right side, and then you're going to write the level 1 and level 2 questions on the left. So G2B, now that we know what regions are, now we're going to look at the types of regions there are. And so their essential knowledge is that there are 3 types of regions, and they include formal, functional, and perceptual, which is sometimes called vernacular. So now we're going to write our notes on the right-hand side, and then afterwards we're going to write a few questions to help process that information. So one type of region is called a formal region, and everyone within the region shares a common characteristic. I don't know where my other map went. These have very specific boundaries. So for instance, here we have the 67 counties in Florida, and so those are very specific regions with specific boundaries. When you leave Pinellas County and enter Hillsborough County, for instance, or Pasco County, there's a sign that tells you that. This right here is a physical region. These are areas in North America that touch the Great Lakes, so that would be the Great Lakes region. Oh, there's the other map. And this right here is another human region. This would show areas in an election that voted Republican, those are the states in red, and that voted Democrat, those are the states in blue. Again, very specific boundaries. The second type of region is called a functional region, and this region is focused on a central point or a node. You can see that red dot right there, that would be an example of a node, that influences or connects an area and radiates out. So some common ones would be a newspaper territory. Publix warehouse distributes to just specific Publix grocery stores around that node. So we have Publix warehouse in Lakeland. They're not distributing food to Publix in Alabama. If you call for pizza, that's what this map is showing. If you call for Pizza Hut delivery, you're not going to call Tampa to have to deliver it to Clearwater. There's very specific nodes. Another example could be your zoned school. So the school that you're zoned to go to is a functional region. There's a certain area of addresses around that school that are zoned to go to that school. And then the last type of region is called a perceptual region. And this is defined by your beliefs, perceptions, or your attitudes. These are not based on reality. So people say, thinking that they live in the Midwest, or they live in the Deep South, or they live in the Bible Belt. So again, these are regions that are based on your perception or your feelings, not based on reality. There's not strict boundaries. Here's a great video. It's pretty short on types of regions from Mr. Sin. He teaches an AP class, and so it goes over everything I just did if you feel the need to review. And again, we're just going to quickly preview the sources that you're going to be looking at in class. for B types of regions. So people regularly reference perceptual regions, example, the South or Gator Nation, or functional regions like the I-4 corridor or the Tampa Bay metro area when they're describing where they visited or where they live. These two sources, source 7 and 8, are going to help you discover how these two types of regions, perceptual and functional, differ from the specificity, the specifics, and the clear shape of formal regions. Formal regions have definite boundaries. Also, these sources are going to show how regions can overlap. So we're going to be looking at source 7, and source 7, you can see here, shows the percentage of people in each state that consider themselves to be part of the Midwest. So that is based on their perception. So that is a perceptual region. And then here we have a functional or nodal region. So source 8 is going to show this region in blue are areas within a 90-minute drive of this blue car right here, which is Cleveland, Ohio. And then the red is areas within a 90-minute drive of this red car, which is Pittsburgh. And then you can also see that those two regions overlap. Those are the notes. I will see you in class on Friday. We're going to be using these.